Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion. We're starting a new parak today. I've paid Dalit 84. Yesh Mutaros. We'll pick it up in the Gemara. It says, the first line of the Gemara, My ear the Hani Nasa, listening Kiddush. One of the Mishnah discusses different cases where either there's an Isra to the husband and there's a heter to the Baal, to the Yavam, or there's a heter to the Baal, but there's an Isra to the Yavam, or both, or mutter to both, or usher to both. The first case they talk about, where it's mutter to the Baal, right? The marriage is mutter. It's also to the Yavam. What's the case? Kohen Hedya Shenasa as Almana. That's the first case. A regular Kohen, he marries an Almana, a widow. There's no problem with Kohen Hedya marrying a widow, but there is a problem if he dies and he has only one brother, Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol cannot do Yibum with her because she is an Almana, and the Torah says an Almana can't marry a Kohen Gadol. That's an Isser Lav in the Torah. So the Gemara notes, Ma'ir Tani Nasa. Why does it say that the Kohen Hedyon married her? Which means indicates they had Bia. Usually when you get married, you have Bia. Listening Kiddush, even if there was Kiddushin, right? And then he died, the Kohen Hedyon died, so she's an Almana. Almana Mina Erisin. She's still ushered to the Kohen Gadol. So why does it say Nasa? The reason the Dafka says Nasa, because now she's a Ba'ula, and therefore not only is she forbidden to Kohen Gadol because of an Almana, she's also forbidden because there's an Isser essay of marrying a Ba'ula. He has to marry a Psula, not someone who's already been together with a man. Aval Kidesh, Asi essay v'dochalos essay. But it would imply that a Kidesh, if it was just Almana Mina Erisin, then the essay dochalos essay. And then technically, the Kohen Gadol could do Yibum with the Almana Mina Erisin. The Gemara says you can't say that. Akula Pirkin essay will say who will Asi essay dochalos essay. All our parak, for example, other cases, the mamzer, the nasin, right? A mamzer, a Yisrael, Yisrael and a mamzer. You have a conscience of Yibum, where you have a Yisrael falling to a mamzeres, or you have a mamzeres, the woman, falling to a Yisrael. Right? We don't say the mitzvah of Yibum essay is docha the los essay, even though it should be essay docha los essay. Why not? So Rashi comes in, and Rashi says, oh, this is based on a teaching of Rav Gidal Marav on Daf Chafam on Aleph, I'll even to Ashara Rashi includes. You have to look at the Gemara there, but the Gemara is a long Gemara, an interesting Joshua of Gidal Marav he says basically that a mamzer marrying a mamzeres marrying Yisrael marrying a mamzeres or Nasina, things like that, has to be im chafetz, right? It has to be there's a desire for the Yavam, meaning if out of the conscious of Yibam, he would be able to marry her, then it's Shayach Yibam. But if out of the conscious of Yibam, for example, Israel Lav, Yisrael marrying Mamzeres, you're not able to marry her, so therefore there's no mitzvah of Yibam. But there is Chalitza, it is necessary to have Chalitza, and the Gemara distinguishes between Chayve Kares and Chayve Lavin. Chayve Lavin, it's in a reboy in the Torah, there is Chalitza, over there you need Chalitza. By Chayve Krisos, like the first Mishnah says, you don't need Chalitza or Yibam, but you need Chalitza, but Yibam wouldn't be applicable. Even not applicable. So the Mefarshim ask over here, why does Rashi call this Gemara? Really, the maskana of the Gemara when it's trying to figure out Almana Mina Erisin, right? The Gemara, that was the Gemara's diak on Daf Chaf Min Aleph, Kapasik Vitani, Loshna Mina Erisin, Loshna Mina Nesuin, right? Almana the Kohen Gadol, even Mina Erisin, even if the Kohen married the Kohen had his brother of the Kohen Gadol was just engaged to the woman, and he died, so she's an Almana, she's a widow. Even though it's only Erisin, she would be asura to the Kohen Gadol. Why? Essay dochalos essay. There's no Isser essay there. It's not essay dochalos essay because there's no Isser essay. She wasn't nevelis. She's a psula still. So therefore, the Gemara's maskana on Daf Chafam and Beis, Rava says, is that Gzeira Bia Rishona had to be a shnia, meaning technically Bia Rishona midaraisa would be okay. The problem is the Bia Shnia when they continue to live together. That's a problem because why? Why is that a problem? So we explained in Iyun Benzion, I've explained this numerous times throughout the Masechta, the pshat and Rava over there is that, meaning you always have this problem, Yibum. Whenever a man does Yibum, right, he's doing a mitzvah. He's doing a mitzvah of Yibum. And then, what does it help the second Bia? The first Bia, there's a head there because of Eishasach. Yibum says, it's Dochet Yisra of Eishasach, but the second Bia goes back to Israel Shazak. No mitzvah of Yibam. We know the mitzvah of Yibam is only the Bia Rishona. So the mitzvah is only the Bia Rishona. So by every case of Yibam, it should always be us. So we don't say that. We only say by Kohen Gadol we have this problem. Zera Bia Rishona to be a Shnia. So I explained over there that the explanation is that by the Bia Rishon, you write, you have the mitzvah. It says Yevamos Yavo aloud. That's the mitzvah, right? That's docha, the losa say of almana. The Bia Shnia, now she's a buula. Oh, she's a buula now. So now, by Yibam, there's a second mitzvah by Yibam. Haisel Isha, then you continue living with her. So every Bia you do with your Yevama is always a continuous mitzvah, and therefore there's never a problem with Eishasach. But the problem by the Kohen Gadol is now he has Yevamo Yavo Isha being Nisuin, consummating a Nisuin, a Kinyan Nisuin. I mentioned two things, a Kinyan Yibam, which is just the Bia, and the Be'ila, acting like man and wife, Kinyan Nisuin, to do a Kinyan Nisuin with her, and that's consummated through the Bia Shnia. There is a mitzvah over there, but now, by the Bia Shnia, she's already in Almana and a Ba'ula, because he had the first Bia with her. So therefore, Enes Yidochalos Tevese. So that works by a Kohen Gadol. But Rashi was bothered because mamzer to use Bas Yisrael or Yisrael to a mamzeres. Over there, there would be no problem. There would be no problem. You can't say it's hard to understand the Parsham's question because you're not going to say over there you Gzera Bia Shnia after Bia Rishona because only by Kohen Gadol the Bia Shnia is worse because you have an essay and a los essay. Mamzer to Yisrael, so you have no Isser on the second Bia. She's Israel, because I explained there's still a mitzvah to do nisuin, to consummate nisuin. Always to be with her is a mitzvah of nisuin, so it would be docha. The lav is only one lav of marrying a mamzeres, and that's okay. There's even a better way of saying. There's even stronger proof to this because it's a little different, right? The Isser of Kohen Gadol, it says ki likuchen. Likuchen. Likuchen is basically marriage, nisuin. The Isser of mamzer marrying Bas Yisrael or Yisrael marrying mamzeres is lo yavo mamzer b'kal Hashem. It's a lashon bia. So therefore, the essay dochalosa say is only on the bia, and that's the first bia rishona. Bia rishona, usually the first one is a bia. The second one, which consummates the marriage, the nisuin, is a be'ila. It's a likicha, havaya, be'ila. It's not a bia. We distinguish many times between a bia and a be'ila. So therefore, it's very clear that even if you don't say that there's a secondary mitzvah, which there is, a secondary mitzvah of nisuin, of kinyan nisuin by yibam, which will continue to be docha, the isser of esei docha losa say, of the isser of mamzeres, you can even say better that the Isra only applies on the Bia Rishona. There's even no Isra at all on the Bia Shnia, because the Isra Lo Yava only on the Bia Rishona, the Bia Shnia, the Nisuin, the Kicha, the Be'ila, there's no Isra at all. So for two reasons, Rashi makes a lot of sense over here. That he says he has to bring this other Joshua of Gil Marab, and really at the end of the day we need both of them. We need a Gil Marab, and we need the only reason you need Gzera Bia Rishona after Bia Shnia is only by Amana L'Kohen Gadol, as we explained. Hope you enjoyed today's share, and see you tomorrow.